Naughty Nautilus, my Flosstube channel. I'm Corinne, or the Naughty Nautilus, and I know it's been a while. I think I promised to try to do it monthly still, but that obviously didn't happen. The main reason behind that was I only worked on one project for most of this time, so I didn't feel like it was worth doing a whole update video for one thing. And then my motivation, let's call it, to cross stitch has been up and down a lot. So, you know, I went weeks without stitching, and then I stitched all the time, and then I didn't. So we were back and forth. That has a lot to do with how I manage stress in my life, and I have just been rolling with it. And I can talk more about that at the end of the video. But first, I do want to share, I did actually manage to get a finish, which I was very happy about. Better late than never. So this is the Sloth pattern. I was making it for my brother's birthday and did not get it done. It's probably going to be a Christmas present. I'm pretty sure he'll never see this video, so I'm not worried about spoiling it. Spoiling it. Words are hard. But this is where it was last time, and this is where we are now. So you can see I went ahead and filled in all of the colors. I think, without looking at the picture right now, I think I had some of this filled in maybe, or actually, I don't know if we've seen this one at all. This might have been, I was going to start it. If so, I will make a note in the before, but basically I had done a whole bunch, and I was working on filling in this, all of this color here, and I just felt like filling in like a coloring book one day, and so I just went crazy and finished that whole color. And then there was this branch in here and a little bit of color in here, and this arm, and then the back stitching. So it actually went pretty quick. I'll put a note on the screen how many days of work it was before, but now I worked on this for 3 days to finish all of that. So one thing, the caveat with that 3 days is right now I am unemployed and I have a lot of free time. So it's very easy for me to spend a lot of time stitching if I choose to do so. So this should get fully finished. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet. And obviously I haven't washed it or anything. I gave it a little bit of a press to get most of the wrinkles out, but it's still a little bit wrinkly. So finished object, which I was very happy about. Now, what I've mostly been working on has been the Lola Crow Deadly Aquarium Stitch Along. I am not, it should be complete. So today is Friday, September 6th. So it should technically be done today, but I am not near there. I was keeping up. I was behind the last time I had the video. I think I just had the frame done, and I'll show it here. And possibly I was starting on some of the other parts of it. And so I was behind. And then the first week we had a break week, I managed to catch up. And then I was keeping up for a while, and then I kind of just teetered off at the end of July. I just was less interested in keeping up with it. So, again, you're going to get Q-snap marks. I did open it up so you could see. This is where I ended up on here. I will switch myself. So you can see I've got part of this done and the main part of the middle. I just wrapped up this ghost shark and the vampire squid here, but I haven't done the back stitching. So that's the last part of this section, and then I'll be caught up to whatever week that is. So I obviously have a lot to do still. There's the whole tide pool over here and all the other stuff up here. The one thing I will say, when I was working in the bulk help here, I realized that I probably miscounted how tall this section is and counting this long stretch in my frame. I am about 1 or 2 stitches, I can't remember exactly, too short. So I did have to fudge the tops of the blades of the bulk help to fit in with the water. Actually, I think that on this one, I might have done a little bit of that, and I had to adjust the water line. And I had, because I hadn't stitched it when the water line when I started the kelp. And so this is all done as charted. And I think, again, the reason I think I missed it is I had to do some fudging on this section in here as well. So there will be some continued fudging. The point I realized it, I had the whole frame done, and I was not going to go back and rip out like the bottom parts over here, the gull, and like all of this guy. I had already miscounted something in here when I was starting on this section and ripped it out and redid it. And I was not doing it a second time, or, you know, ripping it out a second time. So I've committed to fudging. So I'm really happy with how it's going, but just the last couple of weeks, this project has not been calling to me. And I think it's because it's so much of the detail and little bits of color, just my brain hasn't wanted to deal with it, which is why we finally started stitching on some other projects. There was one day when I was caught up on that, on the Deadly Aquarium, which I just realized I didn't say. This is the fabric is Seaweed from Oak Crown Studios, and it's a 32 count Lagana. So it's kind of a greenish blue, which you can see. I think last time I showed it, it was still in the hoop, so you couldn't see all of the color in there. So, and I realized too, I probably could have stitched this the other way and had more of this fabric. I will probably save some of this for something small because it is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm really liking working on the fabric. So when I want to get some fancy hand-dyed fabric again, I will probably buy from Oak Crown Studios again. Okay. So on a day when I was caught up with that and I still wanted to stitch, so this was probably in May or June. I can't remember. I don't have the date I stitched on this, but I did end up going back to Fish and Chips. This is my one and only long dog. This was my birthday start this year, which I stitched on like on my birthday and then didn't stitch again until more recently. So this is where it was the last time you guys saw it. And here is where we are now. So I should have looked this up. I believe I had all of this done and I was working my way across on this whale here. And so I ended up building up here and working on this plant piece. And if I remember correctly, there's still a little bit more up here. And so my goal was just to try to work in here and try to fill in all of this section. And then I'll start working my way down, most likely. I am considering, when I have a larger frame available, switching this. So this isn't an 8x8 Q-snap. Switching it to an 11x11 so I can continue to work across here. I have a couple of strings tucked in because, you know, all of these little pieces here. This is one continuous string and I didn't want to cut it and ruin the variegation. So it's kind of tucked in here. So I'd like to be able to finish it out. That might have to be just a day I hop in the hoop or something like that. But yeah, so this is done in DMC 4025 and it's 32 count Murano from Zweigart in light blue. So it's a very blue on blue, but I'm actually really happy with how the variegation is coming out. This is my This is my second attempt with it. I did a small piece, which I played with the variegation and the different types of stitches to see how I wanted to do it. And so I'm really happy with how it's coming out and the different colors. I'm really liking how the effect up here and across all of this. So I do want to work on this more. I've thought about it several times since then on wanting to work on this particular stitch. I'll share some of that in my plans video here, but that was Fish and Ships. And I actually worked on one more project, and this was just this week. After I finished the Sloth, I wanted something that was a bit more of the fill-in, less fiddly to think about. Well, I liked Fish and Ships. That particular day I was looking to stitch, I just didn't want to deal with trying to track the variegation. So I pulled out my Riolis kit, the Gentleman. So this is what the pattern will look like. And this is where it was last time you saw it. I know you did see this one. I need to start writing that down better. So this was on my WhipGo call, and I don't remember which month it was, but the goal had been to finish it, and I was a bit over ambitious. I think this might have been a March call, which would explain why it became over ambitious, because March was chaos for me mentally. But this is where I am now. So I did move the Q-snap, and there's a little bit of black stitching over here. So I had most of this black, the tie, and I was working on the shirt in here. And I don't know how well you can see that, but there is a bunch of stitching in here. So I finished up in there, and then I started working up in here. So there's this kind of gray that comes down. So that's what I worked on the other night. This was like 2 days ago that I did this. So yeah, that's where we are on the Gentleman. And this was, again, a Riolis kit, and it's everything from the kit. And this is actually done with Anchor floss instead of DMC. I mostly use DMC unless it's in a kit. So this is a case, or the pattern calls, it looks like a Mirabilia. I have the metallics and those kinds of, you know, those specialties, but for the most part, I work in DMC. I don't really use a lot of fancy floss. I haven't gotten there yet, maybe someday, but for right now, DMC is just fine for me. So that's the Gentleman. So that was it. That's all I worked on cross stitch wise. So right now my plans include to finish the Deadly Aquarium. I'd like to finish it in a reasonable amount of time with, I want to say this month, but the way my stitching has been, I haven't really wanted to work on it. So I don't know that I can commit to that. I will definitely say I'd like to finish it before the end of the year. That gives me a few more months, but hopefully it won't take that long. I'm trying to push myself to do it and get it done. I want more finishes. I think I have a whiteboard with my projects all listed. So I had 13 whips. I'm now down to 12 with finishing the Sloth. So the plan will be to start trying to work through some of these. So what can I get done sooner and what's going to be longer? So we want to work on the Deadly Aquarium. I have a couple of, well, I have my one really big project, which I haven't touched in a while, my Calamity Tapestry from Breath of the Wild. So I do want to start trying to make a point of stitching on that every month. We'll see how that goes. Fish and Ships, I'd also like to make some progress. I really would like to finish the Mediterranean Mermaid. She's been in progress for too long, and I'd like to start another Mirabilia. I want to start Persephone. I have gorgeous fabric for it. I showed it to you before, and I just I want to get to it, but I have a problem with too many whips, and obviously that's not working for me. So there's a few I think I could get done. I think I could get done the Gentleman pretty quickly. It's a lot of block stitching. It's not that many colors. So that was one I want to try to focus on. My Dilophosaurus pattern it does work up pretty quickly, but it's a lot of confetti. There's not a whole lot. I guess I'm about 60% done with it, and I don't remember. I'll look it up. I'll add it in how many stitches I have left, but it shouldn't take too long if I sit down a few times and work on it. It was on my Whip Go board at 20% intervals, and I remember it only taking me a couple of days after work to finish it. So if I sat myself down and did it, I very well could get it done in a day or two, especially now with a lot of free time. I just have to be in the mood to stitch it. And that would be one to target. I would also potentially like to complete the whale with the flowers. That's this pattern here. That one has a lot of blends, so it goes a little slower, which is why I haven't wanted to work on it as of late, but it's one I'd like to do. I have another Riolis kit that it was with wool instead of cotton floss. The cat and the flowers, I have not touched this one since January. So I would like to do that one potentially. And then actually another one that stitched pretty quickly was The Cats Have Arrived by Alforced Embroidery, and that looks like this. That was a February Whip Go call, I believe, and I was supposed to get to 50% and I didn't quite get there, but that was stitched up pretty quickly as well. And I think if I can work on a few of those, if I could finish one or two of those, I would feel a bit better about where I stand. I recognize a few of my whips are going to be longer term. I don't need them to be quick, and that's fine with me. So the only exception is, depending on when I decide to film again after this, there may or may not be a new start. I have been planning to make a cross stitch for a friend for Christmas. And it's September now, and so that gives us 5 months, 5-ish months. Let's say 4, so that I can get it, you know, framed and everything like that. So I don't plan to start it right away, but I have everything set aside, except I do need to dye the Ada because I don't want to go buy this specific Ada, but I need it in a certain color. So let me grab the book really quick and I can show you the pattern. Okay, so it comes from Cross Stitch with Catitude by Emma Congdon, and it is this pattern here. So I don't have blue Ada in 16 count. I do have some 14 count, but I don't particularly like working on 14 count, and I don't think it'll look as good for this pattern. So I am going to just dye it some blue, try to get towards this kind of color, and I'm just going to use some Rit dye, which I've used before, and it worked out pretty fine. So there probably will end up being some modeling to make it a little more interesting, but that is a potential new start. That is the only new start I have planned. There may or may not be some Christmas stitching. I have this idea about making some ornaments for people, but we don't know if it'll happen or not. It's really going to depend. Okay, I have one more bit of cross stitch related things before we'll talk about some life updates. So I have the tiniest bit of haul. So in the last couple of months, I had the opportunity to go to Cincinnati, Ohio for my nephew's wedding. And while I was there, I figured I should go see Keepsakes. It was not planned. It was sort of, oh, I'm going to be there, I should go visit. So I did make some purchases there. Let me grab them. Again, not a whole lot. I did end up getting this cute needle minder because who doesn't love Nessie? So, and I prefer these enamel needle minders. I like this one too because it's got a big old surface. So this is going to get added to the collection. And then I did get a few patterns. I didn't really have a plan going in, so I didn't want to go too crazy. I also was flying with just one bag, so anything I had to be able to get through TSA. I did not want to buy some cute scissors or something and have them taken away from me. So I did end up buying this little buffalo ornament. I mean, it's an ornament in the picture. And so this might get stitched for 1 or 2 people or just myself for Christmas because I just thought he was really cute. So that's one pattern, and that was, it's small, you know, it's 45 high, 49 wide. So it's not a very large pattern. And then I did get, this is Fairy Wool in the Woods, Mermaid and Sailor. And yes, it is in the packaging, but I think you can see it just fine. So this cute pattern, and then it does come with the little charm. So this was the nautical, vintagey mermaid side of me that I just absolutely adore. So I thought this was just perfect. I couldn't leave it. I have no idea when I'll stitch it, but it's being added to my collection. This is Sue Hill's Designs Post Stitches. Piracy is a valid career option. This also appealed to me in the trying to find a new job situation. So it seemed like a fun, quick little stitch to do. And there are some really cute other ones. I considered getting this one as well when I was there, but I settled for just one. I can always get another pattern later, but this one here, now in my collection, we'll see about stitching it. I may or may not have some kind of antique looking Ada. I know I have some linen. That's not my favorite, but I could maybe suck it up to stitch this because it's really cute. And then the last pattern I got was Heart and Hands Seaside Tiny Town. Again, sucker for nautical, oceany things. And I had been eyeing this one a bit online. And I was like, if I'm going to do a tiny town, this would be the one. And like, just look how cute it is. With like all the little houses, the gulls over here. And so it would just be a fun one to stitch. So I just wanted it. So it's in my collection. All of these, not really a plan for when they will get stitched. Again, because I'm trying to whip down right now. All right, so that's mostly the cross stitch side of things. I am actively trying to whip down. I feel overwhelmed with how many I have, which is why I decided to just pick a few, try to focus on them, try what can I get done, and then I can think about whether I want to start new things. Now, I had originally planned for a bunch of progress for projects through WhipGo, and everything I planned to start for WhipGo has been kitted. So I have things ready to go. Right now, they're just going to sit and wait. If I feel I have completed enough of my whips and I want to throw something else in, especially maybe something smaller. I have a few smaller stitches that might get thrown in because they shouldn't take me as long, but I really don't want to start any more big complicated patterns until I knock some of the current ones out. I also have a bunch of kits that, you know, I bought kits of the whole thing that might be fun to get to. I have a lot of patterns in my stash that I want to get to that I'm telling myself I can't do. So that should be motivation enough. So that's kind of the current plan. Work down what I've got maybe small things, but we'll see. It's really going to depend on what I do. And I have already thought about in my brain whether I want to try Whip Go again next year. This year was a failure. I'm not even going to try to catch up. It's too difficult for me. I was too ambitious, but I'm thinking about Whip Go now and how do I want to change it? What do I want to do? And I'm definitely thinking about smaller goals, like do 1,000 stitches on a project and throwing some of these bigger projects on there so that it's just moving, or maybe stitch on this for 2 days. Those kinds of goals instead of completion goals, which I think was my mistake on this one. All right, so now for just a little bit of life updates. My job did end, and unfortunately, the way my job and my training works and my level of education, it makes it harder to find a job because I'm very specialized. So I am still looking for work, which is, again, I have a lot of free time right now why I've gotten some things done. But actually, I've been doing a lot more quilting and sewing and house stuff. Initially, I'm trying to keep myself busy. And so there were things that needed doing in our house. Some walls needed painting. We got our bathroom needed wallpaper removed. So I tried to do it myself and was defeated, and we had to call some professionals. But then we had to put new lights in, hang a new mirror and things like that. So I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff around the house. And then I also have been sewing a lot. So I'm trying to improve my garment sewing. It's going okay. I try to force myself to do it because I'm not super confident in it, but we are working on it. But I have really taken off on some quilting. I am a chronic finish a top and then let the top languish and never finish it quilter. So I've been trying to work my way through some of that. And then I've had some quilts that I have wanted to make, but hadn't gotten to yet. So that has been a lot of what I've been working on. And I'm not going to go into it and show you these quilts because there are a lot of them. And I'm going to do a separate video for quilting. I talked about posting some quilting videos similar to this Flosstube format in my very first video, and I just hadn't gotten to it. And at the time, I was not doing a whole lot of quilting, but that seems to be what interests me right now. So that's what I'm rolling with. So I will be posting a quilting video, hopefully not too long after this video goes up. So if you're interested in that, I would really appreciate it if you would check it out. And the other thing is, I'm filming this on September 6th. I have no idea when it's going to actually get posted. So I have to learn a new editing software. I am filming this before because I need video content to edit. So this is going to be a learning experience. So if my format is a little weird or something is wrong, please let me know because I am learning a new program. I no longer have access to what I used on my last 2 videos. So with that, I want to thank you for listening to me and checking out what I've been working on. And I really do appreciate if you've returned. I know it's been a long time. I think my last video was in May. So it's been a few months, and I really, really, really want to try to post these updates more regularly. Maybe not monthly, maybe every other month, but we are going to try. And that is all we can ask ourselves, is just to try. So thank you so much for coming and checking out my videos. Thank you for coming back. If you're new, thanks for checking me out. I really do appreciate it. I decided to start a channel and then life threw me massive curveballs. But, you know, we are trying to stay creative, trying to stay motivated, and we will just keep trying. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.